A good question that I always get now that we're back on the Hardy Comp. My everything about my music, and let's be honest with ourselves. I'm very well known for very specific things. Um, I'm obviously most known for wrestling. I don't think there's anyone can deny that my I don't know how to say it. My work for the wrestling industry and my work for um, just the love of pro wrestling has obviously given me an identity with the industry. And aside from that, there are a lot of people that know me for my commentary, especially when it comes down to YouTube. So, YouTube, podcasts, series, so on and so forth. Really, the production company aspect of it overall. I get few, questions about my businesses and my ventures in business. Primarily because I don't really disclose what stock I invest in. I don't disclose what whether I'm in a union or whether I am just involved in regular banks, so on and so forth. You get the idea. I'm trying to be blunt about it. Or whether, and I don't disclose much about the businesses that I do own, other than the production company, of course, and its little subsidiaries like the Wrestle Target and whatever else we plan on doing. And especially the Hardy Complex, now that we're kind of making this into a little bit of a brand kind of thing. So I don't get a lot of questions about my business because I don't disclose a lot about my business. I don't disclose the amount of money I make. People just people just chalk up what they expect my net worth to be, and what they expect me to be worth by the time I'm worth a damn. So when it comes down to it, the only other big thing that I'm known for that I don't get enough questions about, or at least that I don't get as many questions about as I would like to, is my music. And so I got this good question here, and paraphrasing, he asked me what my favorite musical project was that I've ever worked on, and why it was better than every other project. Or, alternatively, what the best thing and worst thing about each project that I've ever done, music wise, has been, in my opinion. So, when it comes down to it, I have worked on 5 major projects in music. Um, I'm obviously working on Letter to Yesterday. I'm the front man for Letter to Yesterday. So there's that current project. There was Hardiac, which is probably the project I'm most known for, other than Letter to Yesterday. It was the band I had in 2014. I think we released 2 EPs. We turned it into an LP, and we called it a day. Called it a day because I wanted to continue with wrestling. Just with my mind completely on that. We had one Diz, which was it was a kind of a tragedy, and I'll talk about that in a minute, in a funny way. We had Fane on Fifth Avenue, which was a failed rock project that I couldn't manage to get off the ground. We tried to record an album that we already had written out and everything, but we just couldn't get on the same page. We had Tallahassee Gas Mask and Seaside Parade, which was really Leonard Yesterday's predecessor. Just it was made up of a group of individuals that were put together, tasked with making music at the wrong damn time. So, um, from worst to best, we'll go with the best thing and the worst thing about each music project I've had. And we'll start off with my least favorite project we've worked on, and that is One Diz. That is the letter one, and then capital DIZ. It was a rap slash hip hop musical project, solo project that I was working on many, many moons ago. Probably 7 or 8 years ago. I I think it was maybe 11, maybe I think it was 11 or 12 or something along those lines. And I was doing that along with my ZJS music kind of project as well, to kind of see what I could start there and see if I could start making something, or to get something going there. And I couldn't, but One Diz was the overall solo project that I had worked on, or I had spent time on. I think the best thing about it was the fact that it was different. I'm mostly known for my rock music now, or at least when you think of my music, you think of rock music now. So people looking back and hearing or seeing rap or hip hop in my discography will be a little surprised, but it's always something different, unique. It's something a little out of left field. It's definitely not. Um, it's not something you'd expect of me, but it gives that little unexpected or unpredictability out of me. And I've had people who have seen that little project that I worked on and the songs that I worked on. I'd had people ask me what I had wanted to um, wanted to get out of that, or what I wanted to do with that, and it was a project that I never really knew what to do with. And people wanted me to resurrect it a couple of years ago just for the sake of something different, but it wasn't ever really worth it. It was not much to begin with. It was like another group I had uh, well before I would even consider myself having done it for a project. It was Inspiration Destination or something like that. Um, and it was myself and two other girls that I went to school with, and it was just like this stupid fucking pop group. And I almost I almost included it for shits and giggles, just for absolutely no reason whatsoever, until I looked back at some of the workings that we had done and some of like the plans we made for like rehearsals and shit and practicing whatever we had, and I did not realize by any strand of the means that we had worked on that project for almost a year. It felt like maybe 2 months, but I looked back at a bunch of different notebooks and a bunch of different logs that I had for what I would write in and what I would try to get done. And I saw so many motherfucking Inspiration Destination songs. I was like, well, I can't even involve it now because at that point in time it'd be a fucking project. Because I spent a year on it, despite the fact that it was some stupid little thing. And it was like there were maybe 10 songs from me and then 10 songs from each of the other girls. It was insane. I don't know how much fucking effort we put into it, but I must have fucking blanked out on it because it was wow. I didn't include it primarily for that. When it comes down to it, I wouldn't have been able to say anything good about it. I mean, the girls were great and all, but it wasn't anything that I can really remember now. So yeah, with One Diz, the best thing about it was that it was out of left field. It was something different, something you wouldn't expect of me. From really with Inspiration Destination, it was like that was pop. This is hip hop. I'm a rock guy now, and I have been for years, close to a decade, um, or at least well over half a decade. So at the end of the day, it's something unique, and I like that about it. But there's not much more to it. Um, Perhaps I do something with it maybe 10 years down the line for nostalgia, but I don't expect anything out of it. And then like my least favorite part about it was the fact that it was so unneeded. It was something that I was doing while I was still developing as a child and not in the best place whatsoever. I mean, not in the worst place, but definitely not in the best place. And it was just not, it wasn't a great, it wasn't a fantastic thing. It kind of died a death that was completely uncared about. It was nobody really knew much about the fact that it was dying. They just knew it was dead. So there was that. Fate on Fifth Avenue. Um, I liked the project. I liked working on it. It was a project I had in 2016. It was a project that I was trying to get off the ground, couldn't get off the ground. I had a couple of musicians come in, and we tried to record something. Eventually, I came into the mindset where I probably would have to make it a solo venture with just musicians being credited for the live and studio versions of the songs. But nothing really stuck together. We had one album that we wrote out and we tried to record, but we could get nothing done. It was called Feast of Midwinter. Um, Nothing happened with it. A lot of people have asked me what happened to it since. They kind of just came to the conclusion that it was dead and it was not coming back, which they would be right about, but they always ask me for a little bit of an update, and the biggest update I can give you is that it never worked out, nothing ever fit together. Um, The music was all right, but it wasn't anything that would change the world or anything like that. It was not a band that I think would have been the best direction for me, especially since we were dabbling heavier in grunge than we were in modern rock, which is not a great viewpoint. So, Hit on Fifth Avenue is probably my least favorite rock project I've done. Then we have Tallahassee Gas Mask and Seaside Parade. I wanted to put this in last place just because of the fact that it didn't take long for it to die out. But One Diz was just it was a sour note on my musical discography, and Fan on Fifth Avenue was just it was an overall failed venture to begin with. With Tallahassee Gas Mask and Seaside Parade, we at least got some shit done. We wrote music, we temporarily released songs, we got whatever we could out of it, and that was not much. We were all put together at the wrong time. We sat there just trying to put something together, despite the fact that we knew we could be doing better things with our time. Myself and Crystal were the lead vocalists. Alex was the lead guitarist. Lead guitarist. We had a friend of Alex's, Wayne, as our bassist, and we had our rhythm guitarist was a guy named Ariel, and it just never fit together. It was never working, and it was never going to work. We all came to grips with that very quickly, and we ended up calling it a day. We also called it Seaside Parade at the end. It was just Alex and I, so we called it Seaside Parade, and then we just let it kind of fade away altogether. And then we have Liturgy Yesterday now, so that's that. Next up is Hardiac. It's a very popular music venture in a lot of people's eyes, primarily for the fact that it just completely died off at a point where people thought it was starting to pick up. And people have called for me to bring it back for the fact that it was not given a proper send-off. We released 2 EPs and made it into an LP and then just kind of called it a day and never really looked back. I enjoyed the project. It was fun to work on. It was fun to see a bunch of the guys that USW had at the time in their music department. It was fun to see them and sit down and talk and write something down and get something written up. But I've fallen out of touch with those guys since USW's kind of broken off their little music portion of the promotion ever since. There's no going back. I don't feel like Hardiac's coming back anytime soon. I don't think I ever want it to come back. It was a fun project for the start. It was fun to record. It was fun to dabble in everybody's little different musical interests, and yeah, it was a fun little footnote. But it wasn't my favorite. My favorite is Liturgy Yesterday. It's been going on for a year and a half now. Our EP is set to be released at the end of the year. We are super excited about everything. The writing process is going well. The recording process is going well. We're enjoying putting everything together. It's been fantastic. It's been fun. It's been enjoyable. It's been great. And at the end of the day, we've just been very happy to sit down and write music and sit down and get something recorded, sit down and get everything written, recorded, put notes to words and get everything flowing well and properly. And it's just an enjoyable project to work on, especially knowing me and what I've done with music beforehand and how I've been able to kind of change and adapt my musical styles and stylings. And Liturgy Yesterday has just been a fantastic project to work on, and it's overall my favorite. Yeah, I really like it, especially the fact that it's myself and Alex. There's 2 individuals that don't need to answer to any other individual. We just have to coincide on a direction, and we start heading in that direction. And it's a great thing. And we're very, very lucky to have this project, and I'm very happy to have it because it's a very great project to work on. So, getting the call for an ad. Ladies and gentlemen, that's time again. The Hardy Complex, back in 60.